me see.
We're live. Looks like
Yeah.
who went live? Tasha,
What, girl?
you went live, so we're live.
Let's do it.
I'm muting everybody. 1 second. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
Hey, welcome to Unwrapping the Gift of Grief, girl. We back. We back, y'all. We back.
Back live.
Yes,
Let's get
ma'am.
to
Live.
it.
Let's get to it. Introduce our guest for the evening.
So tonight our special guest is a dear friend and a dear sister of mine, one of my OES sisters, who can definitely relate to the gift of grief, by the name of Mrs. Natonya Barrett. 52-year-old mother, wife, and a 26-year dedicated member of the Order of the Eastern Star. She's also the proud owner and operator of Beyond the Details event decor, where she makes dreams come true one detail at a time. Her hobbies are including reading, sewing, and anything craft related. An awesome seamstress, an awesome businesswoman, and I'm excited to have her on the show because she and I and Crystal can definitely relate to the same experience of losing our mothers. Okay, so we're excited to have Ms. Natonya on here on tonight. Woo, woo.
Whoop,
Let's
whoop.
welcome her in and let's get her on in.
Okay, let's get her in.
Welcome,
Hey,
welcome,
Natonya.
Ms.
Hey
Natalia.
everybody, how
Welcome,
are you?
All
welcome to
is well. All is
the
well.
grief, the gift of unwrapping grief. We want to welcome
Unwrapping.
you. Thank you for accepting the invitation. I know it's a little hard still. It's still fresh and new as it is for us as well. And I thank you
Definitely.
for coming on in and being willing to share your experiences and maybe offer some tips that you may be able to offer to some of those who just don't know how to get through it. Push.
Mhm.
So we welcome you here on tonight. We've already did our greeting to welcome you on for our viewers that are here. Good evening, everybody. Welcome,
Good
welcome, welcome
evening. Good
to
Good
evening.
evening,
Gift
everyone.
Brief. Okay, Crystal, let's take it away.
Okay, y'all. So, y'all know that last week we kicked off defining grief and the misconceptions of grief. This week we want to stick with it because there are so many levels to grief, and we just want to dig into that thing and get to the meat of it. Also, with there being so many levels to grief, the misconceptions of it. I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they actually asked me like, I was like, I'm not doing too well today. I'm having a bad day. And she was like, oh, you still in that space? For me, that was a trigger because like that's one of the biggest misconceptions of grief. Like grief has no time limit.
Nope.
So I want to break some of that stuff down on this podcast and talk to Natonia and Tasha and some of our viewers. If you can kind of chime um in our comment box so we can see what you're talking about, and if you have questions. Yeah, so let's get it going. So, Miss Natonia,
Yes.
how do you define your grief? What does it
Um,
look like to you?
to be perfectly honest, I don't think it has a definition. I don't
Mm,
think it has a definition. I don't think it has a look. Um, it's just, I think the biggest thing is you just have to be in tune with how you're feeling. And like you said, you just said like you weren't having a good day. I know when Tasha, went through, and it's very hard for me to say the actual what it is. And for me, it was in 20 November of 20, it was my dad. In September of 22, it was my mom. And we go through life, experiencing death, but um with my dad, I just felt like, that was just, I thought was the worst pain ever. Here it is, dad and daddy's girl, and to the day he took his last breath, I was still daddy's girl. Could get anything I want. Daddy didn't tell me no. So I thought that was just the worst thing ever. Um, until my mom, and just a complete difference. So that's why I say I don't think grief has a definition. Um, I do know, like I was saying with Tasha, she asked me, what did you do? How did you get through it? I think our moms were months apart.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, I can't tell you how I'm getting through. I can't tell you how I'm doing it. The only thing I can tell you is to feel however you want to feel. Whatever it is, go with it. Don't try to fight it. For me, I was going through the stages of trying to be strong for everyone until I just got to a point and I was like, you know what? I don't care. You get that. You just have to, however you're feeling. If the moment tells you to throw something at the wall, by all means, throw it at the wall. If the moment is telling you, to scream and cry and kick like a 5-year old in the middle of your bed, do that. That's what I mean by when I say just go with however you're feeling. We got a mute for you, Crystal. We can't hear you.
You're muted, Crystal. Unmute.
okay. 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 I was trying to do two things up here. Okay, I understand all that you just said. Tasha,
Yes.
because you didn't talk about this last week. So how do you define your grief?
Child, listen. I don't. I don't, because how can you define it? Is I mean, they hear one moment and the next moment they're gone. And it's like, what do I do now? I got to go without being able to talk to you every day when I'm used to talking
Mm,
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
accidentally dialing your number and or cleaning out your phone and some unheard messages that you didn't know was there. And now you got it's your mom's voice on the other line or your loved one on the other line. So now that's a trigger because now you're like, man, I wasn't expecting that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard because even though We push through daily. We push through every day. And no, we may not cry every day, but that don't mean we don't feel it every day. Like me and Natanya, our moms were home with us. We care for our moms at home. So it's a different feeling when you have to
Mm-hmm.
pass their room where
Mm.
you left at. Have to walk past the space that you lived in with them. It's a different
Absolutely.
feeling. Like,
Mhm.
man,
I think initially that was, and I think Tasha, you're frozen.
Tasha, you're frozen.
I think initially that was the hardest part at first.
yes.
Um, Everybody in my family were trying to protect me by keeping her door closed.
Mm.
In reality, that had the complete opposite effect. I just found myself one day just screaming and telling them, stop closing that door, leave the door open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need to come to terms with, walking past there. My mom's room was on our main level. So you couldn't pass any room in my house without passing my mom's room, or the routine of, dropping the kids off from school to school, coming in, getting her ready for her morning meds and her bath, and getting her all cleaned up. I would tell everyone my mom was my baby number 5.
Yeah.
um and one of the other things I did that Tasha knows about, I shared my mom's journey with
Yes.
the Facebook world. My mom was just, joyful, and she kept everybody laughing. So I would just get on, and, when she didn't like a nurse, she let us know she didn't like that nurse by
Okay.
things that she did. So I would get on and share, I would call it, and I still call it, a joy named Miss Norma.
Yeah.
But um just not having those things. And I think the hardest part was when I could no longer smell my mother's scent, and it left quick.
Mm.
I mean, like within 3 days I just had a meltdown, because my mom having rapidly progressive dementia, and in 3 days I could no longer smell her scent. I took on, everything that she had. I felt like I was mentally forgetting my mom.
Mm.
So I would do things to force myself to keep that memory alive, although in reality, the memory was still there, but it was the small thing of not being able to smell her scent anymore that got to me the worst.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
I took
Well,
care of my mom in my home for 3.5 years.
for 3.5 years, you took care of your mom.
3.5 years in my home.
Wow.
And it was a journey for my mom. And I would tell my family, as long as she could tell us what she wants, I am going to abide by her wishes. But the moment she cannot verbalize that to us, she's coming to my house. And that's what happened.
Mm. Okay. Okay. That definitely was a journey for you.
Yep.
For my mom, well, I've had my grief journey is extensive. I talk about it. Because my grief journey just doesn't pertain to the loss of my job. I haven't been to work in 2+ years. I work for
Oh, wow.
CPA due to my health. Haven't been able to drive a bus in 2+ years. Losing my grandmother
Hmm.
in 2022. I lost my little sister maybe 3 or 4 months before her.
Oh,
I
wow.
lost my best friend at the end of the month that my grandmother passed.
Oh, wow.
So my grief journey is extensive, but I talk about my grief journey with my mother so much because it's different for me. My mom had fourth stage cancer, fourth stage cervical cancer.
Okay.
And when we found out, it was pretty much too late.
Mm.
So from the time she found out to the time she died, that was like in a year's time. When
Wow.
they told her that she had 6 months, she was like, okay, uh, I believe God. And if he don't heal me on this side, he gonna heal me on the other side. So I had to jump on that train with her. My
Mm.
mom moved into hospice. I moved into hospice with my mother. I
Mm.
did everything for her. I, for me, grief, um, it was hard because I grieved during the process. I grieved the whole
Mm.
year of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when time came around, it seemed like I was okay, but I wasn't really okay. It wasn't until she passed and 2 days later, I had a stroke.
Wow.
Didn't even didn't even realize I was having a stroke. I just knew something was going on. Went to the hospital. They were like, "Well, Miss Rucker, you had a mini stroke," and I ended up having to check myself out the hospital because I still got business to handle.
Right.
Because she left me with the instructions to handle all of her business, and if I wasn't strong for my kids and my grandmother, then who else is going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
But the definition, defining grief for me, it's like I say, it's it's very extensive. It's anger, it's pain, it's anxiety, it's
Mm-hmm.
stressful,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's lonely. Grief is very lonely
Very.
because unless no one really knows what you're going through, they cannot help you.
Yep.
And they really can't help you because your journey is your journey and it's unique.
Exactly.
So you can't
I was going
tell
to say
them,
that even if they do know,
uh-huh,
I think Tasha and I share this. I think the utmost, like there were certain things that I just could not stand for people to say to me.
Yeah.
And the number one thing was, girl, I know how you
I
feel.
know how you
No,
feel.
you
No, you
don't.
don't.
No, you don't.
No, you
You
don't.
don't know whether me and my mother had a tumultuous relationship. You don't know whether my mother and I had the best relationship. Whatever it was, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, your journey is your journey. My journey is
Mm-hmm.
my journey. And to be
Yep.
perfectly honest, it was two different feelings, losing my mother and losing my father.
Absolutely.
My grandmother passed before my father did, and as you were saying, everyone was just so different. When my grandmother passed, that was like the first major, I don't want to say major, but my grandmother was one of the first people in our family that we had that was significant that we lost. I had an aunt who 30 years ago passed away, an uncle 25 years ago. So my grandmother just being 7 years ago, that's what we mean by it, at the point that we were adult enough to understand it.
Mm.
So, with my grandmother, it was like, okay, the family rallied together. But with my dad, I told my husband, listen, I know we don't have no control over this, but we got to figure something out. You can't go before me because I can't deal with this pain again.
Right.
Like, this is a pain I cannot deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that was the devastation of it. When it came to my mom, listen, there are times even now I just think the world is just coming to an end. It was September 21st. My mom passed on my son's 35th birthday, her first grandchild's birthday. And my son, the words he gave to her was, on the day I made you a grandma is the day you gave me an angel. So
Oh
having to,
wow.
you know, deal with, be strong for him. And someone asked, well, my mother had 18, she had 8 grandchildren. So someone would ask, who was your mom's favorite? And I told them she didn't have a favorite. She loved them all the same, each one in a different way. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, having to go through all of that was definitely hard.
Mm-hmm. Definitely understand that. And see, like you mentioned your grandmother. So my grandmother pretty much raised me from 15, and we took yeah, 15 until, and we lived together until, oh child, until I was 41 years old, and she went and got her apartment. Because when my mom died, I made this declaration, this dying wish declaration that I don't think that nobody should do. Oh, I'm gonna take care of her. I'm gonna do this. And yeah, my grandmother lived for me. She went to get an apartment, and we were like inseparable up until she moved out. So losing her, I realized that was the end of it for my family.
Yeah,
That was my matriarch. So now
yeah.
I done went from being under to ahead. I'm it now.
Mhm.
And that's a lot in itself. That's heavy. That's a heavy weight to carry. Tasha, what you got? You just over there shaking your head?
Cause I'm listen, I relate to it all, and it's sad. It is so sad when you have to pick up that torch, when you have to take over that mantle, because then you have to deal with family that really don't want you to have that mantle, like mine, for instance. When I say we fought tooth and nail, me and one of my brothers, oh my God, we fought tooth and nail. It was everybody had to be involved. And I said at the end of the day, I don't have to involve anybody because that's my mama. I'm the POA, and I don't have to include nobody but her children in decision making. If I choose to allow you to be a part of the decision making. But it got to the point where um my brother wanted to argue. He wanted to argue in front of her when she went into hospice, and she got to tell him, get out, go home, and all this stuff. And I'm saying, why you want to do this in front of her right now? Like, she's requested to see her grandchildren because she felt it. She said, now when I'm ready to go, when he ready for me, I'm going. But right now I got a little bit left, and I want to see all my grandkids. I made it happen. I got on the phone. Y'all better do what you got to do to get in town, blah blah blah. But then now it comes down to, okay, it's nothing else they can do. Now you get to take your mom home like you wanted to. Well, she coming home with me. I've been taking care of her all this time. She coming home with me. She's not going to her house. We fought tooth and nails about that. He wanted to go behind my back and try to change the address, but he couldn't because he didn't have the authority to do that. He came to my house. I say, I'm not stopping you from coming to my house to see her. Whatever time you want to come, you can. But he got here and thought he was going to dictate what goes on where I pay the bills at. And you can't do that. My children
Mm-hmm.
are grown. If
Mm-hmm.
you feel like whatever with my kids are not your responsibility. They're my responsibility. Worry about your children. So ever since she passed, we have been, well, I ain't gonna say we, it's been a few, you ain't nothing to me and you ain't no kin to me. You ain't my sister. I was like, okay, all right, you've been wanting to say
And,
that. So okay,
and so
okay. I know what my birth certificate say. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, okay, so since November 26th last year to the present, we do not speak, we don't talk, we don't none of that. And I'm okay. At first it bothered me, but I had to be okay with that because while you're in your feelings because you don't want nobody to have nothing. You don't want to do it the way the will
ooh,
says do it.
child.
So then God got to deal with you how he gonna deal with you. Because whatever's due to me and the other two brothers, we're gonna get it when it's our time to get it.
Hmm.
So
I think grief.
people pass away, your moms, your grandmothers, and it's a fight over money.
Money.
Why do it gotta be like that? It
Wait a
don't
minute.
have to be like that.
Let's take a pause right there. Let's take a pause for the call. People, dear people, get y'all some power of attorney papers. Get y'all some last will and testaments. Make sure that stuff is notarized. Get
Yes,
you a power of attorney for financial. And most importantly, get you some insurance.
please.
Please. Get you
See
some
me if you
insurance.
need any of those things. See me.
Get,
See me.
look, and I'll notarize it. See her for the insurance. I'll notarize papers, but get you some insurance. Make sure your paperwork is in check and not
In order.
only in, yes, definitely in order. Not only that, go to them banks, put some beneficiaries on those accounts so that when you something happens to you, it will not be a problem or a fight about where that 25 cents you got left in there, who that's going to. Because you've already deemed that to somebody.
Right.
All right. Back to the natural program.
I think grief, it
Bring out the
one thing
ugly.
it definitely it does. One thing it definitely does is it changes your perspective on things as well.
Absolutely.
I remember sitting down and, at my dining room table and having to make the arrangements for my mom. And I'm the oldest of three. And the first thing I told them, listen, whatever we vote for is fair. It's only three of us. So it won't be, a tied vote on anything. But, they the funeral director said, you just look like you're not here. I said, I'm not. I said, and I really don't want to do this. So they thought I meant like, I wasn't ready, to make the arrangements. But my answer to them was, I'm not doing this for me. We make arrangements and we do funerals for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I said, if it was
Absolutely.
left up to me, I would tell you all because my siblings and I had made the decision to cremate my mom. I said, if it was left up to me, I'd tell you cremate my mom, bring her back, and we done with it. I wouldn't do any of that other stuff because again, I just kept saying, what am I getting out of this? Why are we doing this? We go through and this is no shade to anyone who chooses to perform ceremonies the way they choose to perform them, whether it's the horse drawn carriages and $50,000 that they spend.
Okay, I'm on this
Again,
mic.
that is for
Where
them.
did she go? Okay.
Looks like we've lost her again.
She'll be
But
back.
I just felt like I was putting on a party for everyone else. And when I say it, changes your perspective, prior to my mom, my husband had told me, don't spend all that money when, if I go first, just cremate me. And my answer to him would be like, that's fine, but where you going after that? Because who you think about to bring, a whole urn and gonna be sitting in this house. However, listen, I was honest. I will grant your wishes, but you need to tell me where you're going. But when it came to my mom, I felt like I needed that for closure, as weird as it may sound to some.
Mm.
But I felt like the cremation was what I needed to hold on to my mom, but yet let her go. So she's sitting on the fireplace in my living room. When there's times that, I feel I need to say something, I go in, I rub it. Hey, girlfriend, how you doing?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I needed that. So that's why I
You
said,
need it.
it changes. I still tell my husband, I don't know if I want both of y'all here, but but I mean it does. The things that come out, the fighting, all of that is just like,
Absolutely.
listen, let's find something else because this
That's
just,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah.
Crazy.
You talk about cremation. So that was one of my mom's wishes. She wanted to be cremated.
Hmm.
So I followed her wishes. And with following her wishes, I ended up getting everyone a chain with her ashes in it. And we also got the big urns and the little urn. So I wear my pearl that I wear on my neck that everybody says, why you don't take it off? I wear it because it has my mom's ashes in there. It
Okay.
go with every outfit I got. I don't care. I'm
Right.
not taking it off. Unless I gotta go for an MRI. That's the only time I'm taking it
Right.
off.
That's it.
But cremating her, um, having a service for my grandmother, sitting through a service for my little sister, it made me change my mind about cremation for myself. I had to do some soul searching and make some decisions. And that's what I want. I want to be cremated now. I don't
Hmm.
want my children to have to sit through that thing.
Hmm.
They've sat
That
through it enough.
that was one of the reasons why we did it for my mom. Of everyone I've loved dearly, listen, once we make that trip to put you there, I ain't going back. And I told my siblings, listen, you all can choose. What again? This is a vote. If you all choose to bury her, that's fine. Don't expect me to be at that cemetery on Mother's Day, June 1st, her birthday. None of that. Can't do it.
Mm.
And they agreed. What was funny is, how we say everything becomes a debate. So after we got my mom's remains delivered back to me, my brother, who is the youngest, he was like, well, I thought maybe we could split them up. I was like, excuse me? Well, yeah, divide up the ashes and, each one of us. I listen, before I knew it, I said, boy, that's like telling you gonna get her arms, I get her legs, and somebody else go get the body. No, we're not about to do that. So I said, now, if I will get everyone a necklace, but we're not about to, go dividing up and making sure everybody got equal portion. We're not doing that. It's like, no. And my sister's birthday, my mom and my sister's birthday were 14 days apart. So for my sister's birthday, I did make sure she was the first, to get a necklace with my mom's ashes. But yeah, even that became a debate. So it doesn't matter what you do, somebody gonna always find something to debate about. But
Mm-hmm.
I just for me, I think the biggest thing was developing that I don't care attitude.
Absolutely.
Like nothing
Absolutely.
matters. Because at the end of the day, no matter what decision, I'm not gonna get my parents back. I definitely did not want to join, the parentless child's club. Nevertheless,
Mhm.
here I am. And it's just it's days where I just find myself just screaming, my mama is not here.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
No, I had the type of mom that um self-taught seamstress. My mom sewed, I sew. Um, it was like, if it was just something just the other day, I just picked up my sewing machine just the other day for the first time in about 3 years. And
Mm.
the most I could say was, I know my mama proud of her baby. That I decided, to pick it back up. But that was something that, again, I inherited from my mom. We didn't sit down and say, this is how you do this is how you do that. It was just a God given talent that we both had. And so much to the fact that I can hear the sound of a sewing machine and tell you exactly what's wrong with it by the sound that I hear it making. And my
Wow.
mom was like that. If I would be on the phone with her and, I'm trying to sneak in and sew at the same time, she'd, you need to change this. This ain't going right. So, it's still those little things. And I think the biggest is when I can't remember something. I feel like, that whole onset of my mom coming in. But when it comes to grief, and I will tell anyone, do it however you gotta do it for
Yes, and
as long as you need to.
absolutely,
I don't
absolutely.
think, when we go buy a car, we hope it's gonna last us 5 years before it give us a problem, but we don't know that for sure. And the same thing goes with, grieving, the death of a loved one. You don't know when it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know when it'll stop hurting, if it'll ever stop hurting. There's gentle things, that just remind you of her. And the fact of my mom passing on my oldest son's birthday, we're coming up to his, birthday next month. And it's like, how are we going to, deal with
Yeah,
this? Do we celebrate him? Do we mourn her? Do we do both of them together? It's just going to forever be hard.
definitely, definitely.
And it's
Thank you for
something that
that. Go ahead, Tasha.
and it's something that you said that, Natanya, that his birthday is on your mom's day, because my oldest is getting ready to have his first son on the day we bury my mom.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my.
So when um, he found out by accident, because when my daughter-in-law got the date, she was like, "Oh Lord!" And so she didn't tell him right away. She called herself hiding it, and he ran across it and
Mhm.
Mm.
just lost it. I say, well, before she left here, her last words to him was, um, that he was going to bring something in, that it was going to be a reflection of her. He will remember her. I say, well, God took a life and he's given us a life. And
Mhm.
it just so
Mm-hmm.
happened to be on that same day, November 26th. And I'm like, well, you know, so
Mhm.
it's so we me and you have so many similarities. It's just, and like you said, you just don't know. We have to take it. We have to go through it. I don't never say and get over it, because we're not gonna get over it.
Mhm.
No, you just grow through it. Grow through the journey.
Mhm.
Grow through
As
the
they
journey. You
say,
have to
roll with the
adjust.
punches,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
every moment that something reminds you of that person is like a punch in the gut again.
Mm-hmm. 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 And Tasha, as I just welcomed my new grandson um in April. That was over emotional for me because I'm like, how do I do this without my mama?
Mhm.
Like I'm a whole grandma out here and I ain't got my mama. I
Right.
ain't got my grandmother, but I come from a time where I had my grandmother and my great grandmother.
Mhm.
My kids know all three of their grandmothers.
Yep.
And here it is, my grandchild, only going to know me
Mhm.
and his other grandmother on his dad's side. Like,
Mhm.
and I feel like sometimes, like, that's so unfair.
Mhm.
That is so unfair.
It's funny that you mentioned the word unfair. I found myself questioning why we have to go through this phase of life. Um, being, as I say, almost everything but born, but definitely raised, in church, did the same thing with my children. I know that I know that I know the word,
Mm-hmm.
but you
Mm-hmm.
just, to be transparent and honest, I was still questioning, God, why is this the pain of life we have to go through? Why does losing someone have to hurt so bad? Um, why do we have to endure for so long? I just found myself compiling a list of whys, whys,
Mm.
whys. And, you know, after you get through all of that, then you just have to come back and say, you know what, God, you know, I know it was your will be done. You
Mm-hmm.
know, forgive me, but that was at that moment. You know, when you're at that point that there's no answers, when you want someone to be there and there's
Absolutely.
nobody there, um when you want to be left alone but everybody want to call, or when you want somebody to call and ain't nobody picking up the phone, or you're going through this series of, you know, emotions and the ups and downs and the uncertainties, and folk turn their back. I said, I think the lowest and most loneliest part of life a person experiences is definitely when you're going through the death of a loved one.
Yes.
I've had friends to definitely, you know, go through losing someone, and I'm always careful with the words that I choose. So that whole call me if you need me,
Yeah.
I
Yeah. You
do
got
not
to be
say.
mindful.
Like,
Mm-mm.
don't say that to a
You got
person.
to be mindful with your words.
Exactly.
Definitely. You have to
Because
be
again,
mindful.
those are the times that the words stick the longest and
Absolutely.
hurt the worst.
Absolutely. And you're actually walking us into the next segment about the greatest misconceptions of grief. So, give me some of the things that you've heard or people have said to you, and it just knocked you off your feet. Like,
Oh,
come on! I know you get.
oh, but you know she in a better place. What? What? First of all, how you know? And what place is more, you know, can be better than here with, you know, don't get me wrong, spiritually we know what's better,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
earthly, no. You know, this is where she should be, or that you'll get through it. Okay. H- how? Because that whole you'll get through it, or, you know, or when people find the time to use gospel songs as if it's really, you know, oh, but joy comes in the morning. Oh, right now, I don't want to wake up in the morning and you talking about joy.
Who you telling? Like, I can't even get out the bed. Like, I don't want to do anything.
It was
I
just
don't want to do nothing.
oddly, I found strangers to be, and by strangers, I mean people in passing, or, you know, um, my mom was in hospice, so those nurses, I found those people to, you know, be more empathetic than, you know, family or 25-year friends. It's just like, yeah, I just thought, you know, that was the worst. Other than I know how you feel or I know what you're going through, that whole, you know, but they in a better place. Keep miss me with that. Please miss me with that.
Cause who defines what a better place is?
That was what I just
What
said
is
to
a better place?
Crystal.
How do you know what a better place is?
How
Cause
do you
everybody
know?
ain't going to heaven.
Look, and on top of
Yeah,
that, how you know that's where they went?
exactly. Because you don't
Come
know their
on.
relationship.
What's a better place? Cause to you, what your better place may be, don't mean that's my better place. My better
Uh-huh.
place
Uh-huh.
means I wasn't ready for my mama to go. I thought my
Mm-hmm.
mama had her some few more years here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your definition gonna get you cussed out. Talk to me and told off all kind of ways. You don't know
I've
how I
I've
feel.
said so
I don't
many
care that you've
times,
been
walk
there.
away from me before you get punched in the face. Walk
I don't
away
care
from
that
me.
you've been there. Your been there and my been there is two different been theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It
Yeah.
it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. I'm
or
kind
that,
of I'm very mild mannered when it comes to people saying stupid things,
oh,
and sometimes I just look away
Oh,
and never. I think I've only really popped off maybe once or twice,
oh,
um, and that startled people when I did pop off. But for me, the biggest thing people do or say to me is on the holidays or Mother's Day, "What's wrong with you?" Be wanting to be like, my mouth be curled with that B word.
like, wait, did I roll my eyes out loud?
Like,
no, I ain't. It's coming out, and whatever I
what's
tell
wrong with
people,
you? Like,
we
I'm in a
are not
funk.
the same. We are different people
Mm-hmm.
after our loved ones have left. I like for me, I tell people I'm not that Tasha before November 10th when she passed away in my house, and I'm definitely not that Tasha when I when this really took a turn in April. I'm a totally different Tasha.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
become a
what
new
you
person.
get,
You do.
I try
You
to
become
keep
a new
in
person.
mind, okay, evangelist, I try to keep all that in mind. But we have feelings too, and you're going to catch something if you say the wrong thing to me. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear that. Okay, now. Okay, you got to come on up out of that.
I
Mm-hmm.
would
I don't
tell
want to
people,
hear that
listen, I
because
was
sometimes
respectful.
words come out before they hit here. They come in here first, and they're going to come out. And then that filter is what it is. I ain't got one. Now, I don't have one. So you might get the angry me. You might get that, all right, okay, you better go. And it's okay for me. Yes, I'm angry about people that still got their mama because y'all still got your mama. You can still
Mm-hmm.
take your mama shopping. You can buy your mama flowers, edibles, whatever. Come on, mama, let's go to church. All of that. Yes, I'm angry. People still got their mamas and they dead. Hell yes, I am. Sure
And
is.
you know what, Tasha? You know what making me mad though? I get mad when people have their mama and they dead and they don't do nothing for them.
You ain't doing
Like,
nothing.
I wish I had my mama here.
Like that
That
idiot brother of man ain't did a squat, and you sitting up here acting a fool. What you did?
that whole, or they come out, oh, my mama just getting on my nerves. I
I
just
wish my
want,
mama
like,
could cuss me out.
who, man, just
Baby.
give me. I
I,
found
that's
myself,
why
just
it's
give me one more
important.
time.
That's why it is important for our children to love on us. Don't show
Mm-hmm.
nobody else more love than you show your mama.
You better not.
That's a problem. Listen, I'm a witness. I tell my oldest all the time, boy, I carried you. Don't you show damn nutter nobody
Mm-hmm.
more than what the respect that you're supposed to show me. One,
Mm-hmm.
you'd already cut your days short. Your mouth, your attitude, all of that. But when
Mm-hmm.
I'm gone, you can't get none of that
You
back.
cannot get that
You
back. You
can't get it
cannot get
back.
that back.
So
And
it's
people,
important for these
mm-hmm,
young people to learn. If they don't get, it's not that they don't have it. You better learn respect. You better
you better
learn how to
understand.
honor your parents because we got to lay across that threshold too.
Yeah.
One thing I can say is that I don't have those um, I wish moments. Meaning, as much as it hurts not having her, it's just that much joy knowing that at the end of the day,
Mm.
with every fiber in me, with every being, I did good by
You
my
did good.
mama.
You
Yes.
did
I don't
good.
have those. I remember, when we had an argument, my mother taught us to be utmost respectful. And from the time at 18, um, when I moved out of my mom's house, if I would go to my mother's house and, she said something I didn't like, I'm going home
Mm-hmm.
because that kept us from having those moments.
Yeah.
So, there are people out here that are just tormented in their soul because mentally they know that they did what they did. But
Mm-hmm.
I can say that again, I gave my mother the best that I knew how. And I'm so thankful that I don't have those moments because I do have friends who are just living tormented at the type of relationship or the things that they
Yeah.
did to their parents, their mom or their
Yeah. I often tell people, um, take care of your parents. Um, and even now, because so many children are dying, do right by
Yes.
your kids.
Mhm.
Because one thing you don't want to do is live with the
Get
guilt going
that's
through
right.
grief. That's a hard seat to sit in. Now, I've never sat in that seat.
Me
Don't
either.
want to know what it feel like, but I've
Mhm.
seen it. And it's like people can never get themselves together because they're so guilty that they didn't do right by their
Mhm.
folks.
Mhm.
So do it now
Absolutely.
while they're here. You have time. Because one thing I know for sure, baby, time is running out
It's running.
every day. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So
Definitely.
you need to be making memories. You need to be apologizing. You need to do whatever you need, whatever you need to do with your loved one
Mhm.
to make amends, so
That's
you
right.
don't have to live with that grief going forward.
Absolutely. You are so true, so correct.
Okay. Oh shoot. Okay, there we go. So yeah. Any more things, Tasha, you want to say about the misconceptions? No?
I think
Okay.
the misconception is people trying to think about what it is. Just let it be.
That's a good one right there.
Just let
That
it
is a good one. Okay, so let's walk us into our next segment. What are some of your coping mechanisms when dealing with grief?
It seems like all of my answers are going back to the same thing, but it is. I let myself go through the moment. If it's a time where I need to cry, I just cry. It may be a 5-minute cry, but I do that ugly cry, I get up and I move on. Some people would probably say thinking about the happier times, but I don't think thinking of the happier times get me through the grieving moment. I think
Mm-hmm.
it just gets me through the day or through that moment, just remembering her. But, again, for me, it's just I found myself fighting to be happy for the sake of other people or trying to be strong for everyone else. And the only thing it did was made it worse for me. I was suppressing things, suppressing those feelings.
Absolutely.
Um, my daughter has told me quite frequently, um, I should talk to someone. I'm not against it, but my answer is in my own time.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it just hasn't been time yet. So, but I think that's the biggest thing for me. Again, go with how you feel. Because as soon as we try to change the trajectory of how we're feeling, all we do is put ourselves right back in it 10 times worse. So when I'm trying to hold back one tear and I'm trying so hard to hold it back, just a whole flood of tears come out
Mm-hmm.
instead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I had to go talk to somebody because grief was hitting me back to back to back to back. I was taking so many losses
Mhm.
that I had to go find somebody to talk to. Number one, And then I ended up going to a grief share program,
Okay.
with like a 13-week program, Bible based, and it's a group session. And it really, really helped me. And like maybe 6 or 7 weeks into grief share, I ended up finding me a therapist
Okay.
because I needed to deal with my emotions as well. Because going to grief session, I unpacked so much stuff that I didn't even know I was dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So now I gotta go get me a therapist to help me finish unpacking this stuff. So that's one of my coping mechanisms. Like you said, allowing yourself to feel. I always say you got to sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, sit with it. I talk about, having a great support system. You definitely need that. Those that can kind of understand, they're not going to fully understand, but
Mm-hmm.
they kind of understand. Um, I talk about self care is very big when you're grieving, because we tend to let ourselves go. Like we just don't. We get in the mindset of we don't care anymore,
Uh-huh.
and we don't want to do anything. So self care, rest. You have to rest, because I've realized that while grieving, you will overwork yourself
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Because you're
because you don't
working
want to
to
deal with it.
forget, not
Exactly.
realizing you
You
are,
don't.
like you said, overworking yourself.
You're overworking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're overworking yourself, and you're draining your body. You're depleting your mind. And you definitely, if you were in a space where you're not getting spiritually fed, you're just all the way jacked up.
Right.
So that's one of my things. Tasha, what you got?
For me, I sit in it, I go through it, and I come out of it. I try not to stay there. I keep myself busy. I allow the genuine people, my genuine, my circle, my church family, to love on me, to cover, keep me lifted and covered in prayer. I keep myself lifted and covered, but sometimes you need to, when you're grieving, it's hard. Oh my, listen, you want to see where your faith is tested. This is where your faith is tested, when you're going through grief, because it's like, God, did you really do this? You gonna put me through this? Now you testing my faith because I'm mad at you, but I got to trust your will. You know, for me, I'm like, so you brought my mama out of all of this to still take her away. Like, she had to go through an amputation. She was having problems with her veins, her circulation. She wasn't getting it. And got to the point it was too unbearable. And I'm like, so you took her leg to still take her life?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what we did. You only gave her a few months after that. What was the purpose in her getting her leg taken if you was gonna still take her? And I'm just, so I was angry. I was, and yes, I questioned him, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, I still gotta trust you. I still gotta trust that it was still your will. So I allow the genuine, the for real genuine, to love on me, to keep me covered. Because everybody ain't genuine, and everybody can't cover you. You got them fake tail people that, if you need me, I got you. What you need? Well, I shouldn't have to call you and say, well, sometimes, if that's how you're gonna present it, if you need me, don't let me need you. Just be like, here, I'm gonna send
Mm-hmm.
you. Know what? This just to brighten your day. If it's a card, an inspirational card, an inspirational text, an
Mm-hmm.
inspirational post, here, this for you. Cause if you having a bad day, let me try to brighten your day a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I allow those people to love on me. I reach out to the ones that I know that's going through what I'm going through, grief. Sis,
Mm-hmm.
you good? How you doing today? How you feeling?
And you know
Okay.
what? Just be honest with them answers. I ain't doing good today.
Be honest. Cause baby, I can walk through this door
Mm-hmm.
and it hit me like it just happened.
Or they would always, well, this was one, not even what they asked, but how they asked. So how you doing today?
Girl, you still doing that?
That would be my answer. I'm here.
Yeah.
Stop talking to me like I'm like I lost my puppy.
Yeah.
I lost a whole person that has been with me my whole life. Now I have to learn how to be without this person. Number one, move forward.
Yeah.
Number two, and while moving forward, I have to create a new normal
Mm-hmm.
because what was is not any longer.
Absolutely.
So you think that I'm gonna be okay, or I'm okay while you asking me, and it just happened like 2 weeks ago, baby? Bye.
Yeah, I got to the point that I just, you know what, don't ask me how I'm doing. Just say hello and keep moving. Because that how you doing, you really don't care anyway.
Exactly.
Sure.
You're just trying to
If
say
I
something.
started answering you, you gonna
You're
be
just trying to say
distracted
something.
by something else anyway, and you're gonna make me
Mm-hmm.
mad because you asked me and you're not listening. So let's skip all that by just
Mm-hmm.
saying hello.
I just called to
Mm-hmm.
check on you. That's good right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Okay,
just
y'all. We
called.
gotta wrap this
I,
episode. Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Go ahead. We about to wrap this episode up. We done been over here a little bit over an hour.
Yes.
Natonia,
Yes.
come on and give us something for the people tonight that may be grieving. Give them a little nugget or something.
Um, my nugget is pretty much going to be the same. Don't let anyone dictate to you how you should feel, when you should be over it, and what to do to get through it. Because again, we all grieve differently. And I constantly use for comparison the difference between my mom and my dad. And I'm talking about a dad who was here from the
Yeah.
beginning to the end, but it still felt totally different losing my dad and losing my mom. And however you need to do it, we don't know how we need to do it, but whatever you're feeling in that moment, go with that moment. Like I said, if you feel like throwing something against the wall, throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it hard.
Mm-hmm.
But go through it is the most important part, because we find ourselves sitting in it, and sitting in it and staying in it doesn't help. So just, whatever you're feeling, feel it, get through it, and trust your own feeling. Because I have yet to find someone who gave me some advice on how to get through it that has worked. It hasn't.
All right, Tasha, what you got for us?
All I got is all I have is love on yourself. Again, allow yourself to go through it and come out of it. Don't sink in it, because if you sink in it, you're gonna be stuck in it. So, and just create a new way of living. You have to create a new way of living, because now this is a new life for you. You've lost your loved one, and now you have to dwell on the memories, but now you have to make a new way of being without your mom, your grandma, your dad, your grandpa, children, siblings. Those are your immediates. So go through it, come out of it, and love on yourself.
That's good. That's good. Now, as we come to the end of this heartfelt episode, unwrapping the gift of grief, I want to extend the gratitude to our special guest, Natonia Barrett. Thank you so much You've been
You.
so
Thank you.
excited to be with tonight. You
Thank you
gave us
for
some
allowing.
nuggets. You poured out your heart. We appreciate you, and we're ever praying for you.
Thank you.
Together, you're
Yes.
welcome. Together, we've explored the true essence of grief and clarified some common misconceptions. Throughout our conversation, we've learned how grief affects us mentally, physically, and emotionally.
That's right.
As a grief coach, my mission is to compassionately guide people in defining and embracing grief. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do grief. Do it however you want to do it. But I suggest seek support if it gets too heavy for you. Absolutely understanding grief is one thing that we may never know.
Mm-hmm.
We may never know. But just continue to press on, push through. You got to go through the journey to grow through the journey.
That's
If
right.
you're listening and you're experiencing your own grief, know that you're not alone. Embrace the gift of understanding your grief and give yourself time and space to heal. Healing takes time, and as you unwrap the layers of your grief, you'll discover your inner strength and resilience. Thank you for joining us on this compassionate journey. Stay tuned for more episodes as we explore different aspects of grief and healing. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself during the process, and as Tasha said, please love on yourself. Remember, healing is possible, and together we can honor the heart of grief. As I always close, if there is no love, there'll be no grief. If there is no grief, there'll be no love. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I am Crystal. Tasha? Tasha's supposed to say, I am Tasha.
I think
And
her screen is frozen. I am
is
the
it? Oh,
Tanya.
thank you all so much for joining Unwrapping the Gift of Grief.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Have a great evening.
You too.
I am Tasha.